gotta ask yourself whether reality is a dream or you a dream for reality. We are all a part of the answer to the meaning of it all. Come in and join us for the moment we call now. Rise up, join in, raise the whole vibration.
Hello. I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm usually in already. I don't have to click in and it just goes to me. And for some reason, I forget to put myself in. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. I guess that's the whole premise of being live and in the moment, right? Is things happen and you just got to go with the flow. So here I am. I flowed in to the live stream once again. It's been a while. It's Thursday. It's Thursday, July 3rd. I do a show on Tuesday, holding space, and I do this show on Thursday. But the last couple of weeks has been such a whirlwind. I had a cancellation on holding space, and then I didn't have a guest last week on live stream, so I just took a break. And next week, I'm going to be doing a retreat. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So I'm excited that I have an amazing guest tonight. A lot of energy is going to be exchanged. I have a feeling in tonight's episode. I want to say hello to Tim. Hola, Tim. How are you doing? I'm doing amazing. This last couple of weeks has been a whirlwind, like I said, but it's been very interesting to me. I feel like, so let me take a step back, right? I wanted to do an introduction and talk about what this show is about. And really what this show is about, it's inspired by the shift in humanity that's happening right now. And whether you feel it on this side of the spectrum or you feel it on that side of the spectrum, you feel it. You know there's something going on this planet right now that is energetically affecting everybody, right? And I think that it's kind of interesting. Different people are receiving that energy and processing that energy in different ways, and that's like an amplification of what this show is about. I was talking to my guest earlier about like the idea of holding up the puzzle piece, right? Each time I have a guest here, they hold a certain puzzle piece. They experience source in their own unique way, and then they transmit source in their own unique way, right? They do their own thing. Psychic mediums, Akashic records readers, channelers, all of these things are really starting to become prominent because I think this shift in humanity is starting to really seep into the depths of everybody's being. Everybody's kind of looking at themselves or not looking at themselves, right? That's the other choice. Anyway, here I am, and I'm excited because next week I am going away on a retreat with some amazing people. Hardy Patel, Elisa Munyan, Davy Bonesse, people who have all been on the show, are doing a retreat in Costa Rica at this place called Imaloa. And from what I hear, it's an amazing place. I have been way overdue to sit and actually intend to do guided meditations, intend to do breath work, intend to do work, right? I mean, this is work of sorts for me. This is kind of my happy place and a meditation for me. And I do work every day, but I kind of am out of practice, right? It's been a while. So I'm super excited to be going to Costa Rica. I've been wanting to go there for a long time. I feel like going to Costa Rica is actually a part of this shift that I've been feeling, where I'm experiencing things not only on a human level, but on this energetic level, right? If it's something that is exciting me, I feel like this buzzing in my body. I feel like this vibration. I feel like, oh my God, I could feel it energetically. If something is bugging me, it kind of also, I could feel it energetically. I mean, fortunately, I feel like I know how to process that stuff, but that's part of what I'm going to be doing at this retreat, going through different exercises to really learn how to process energy and stuff. Kim is asking if I'm going to meet Suri. I may meet Suri. I'm not really sure. Suri's going to be about an hour and a half from where I'm going to be. I would love to meet Suri. But yes, Suri is in Costa Rica, and coincidentally enough, or not coincidentally, because I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that everything happens for a reason. My guest tonight is also from Costa Rica, also involved in retreats, also involved in amazing healing and helping people through transformations, through the shift that I'm talking about. And I think it's exciting to be a part of, and I think part of the intention letter that I wrote in going to this retreat is to kind of come into that, right? Be able to understand my own role in that transformation of you guys, right? And I mean, not you guys personally, because you're here watching me because you're going through some sort of transformation. I mean, when I ask you to type in #live, hint, 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 to tell the algorithm that we're here, you guys are always just like, sure, I'm here. I'm intentionally here. Or if you're watching the replay, #replay. It's all part of a community. It's all part of being in a moment. It's all part of intention. So I'm blabbering for a long time, but thank you guys so much for tuning in and being here and experiencing this with me. It's amazing to create an intentional moment and have people show up, that you don't even know, and have these amazing conversations. So tonight's conversation is with a woman who I encountered on the Sacred Spiral Network. Surprise, surprise. That place is a treasure trove of amazing energies and people, not only in front of the camera, but also in a chat room. It's just such an amazing community. Donna Bond has a show on the Sacred Spiral Network, and we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the incredible energy that you can feel. I want to say coming off your TV screen, right? Because it's not TV, but it's almost like this is the TV of this generation, and it's like you're watching a show, and it's like you're watching somebody. I was telling Donna how I feel like we know each other, right? And that's like a cosmic thing, right? An energetic thing. Anyway, she is patiently waiting in the green room to be pulled on screen. Donna is amazing. Yes, Kelly. I'm super excited to exchange energies with the great Donna Bond. Welcome to the Livestream of Consciousness.
Michael, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. It's lovely to be with you and to be in your energy. And I'm right down the street from Imaloa.
Really? So,
well, there's nothing down the street in Costa Rica because it's not easy to get around here, but you are in for a treat.
I'm excited.
And, we're giving them a little airtime right now, but Jake Sassaville, who is like the crazy guy who started this epic, beautiful retreat center, it's something else. Like
That's
just
awesome.
Being there, it's really incredible. So I'm a little bit envious, to be honest with you, because I would love nothing more than to get away from the technology and go camp out at Imaloa. Awesome.
Well, there's the woods, right? You could always just go find a spot in the woods and camp out, I guess. No, I'm super excited, and I've heard so much about it. And like I said, I mean, I've been hearing about Costa Rica over the last few years. It was never really kind of on my radar, but Elisa Muñan, who is part of the retreat I'm going to, she bought a house there, and she lives there, and it's just, I don't know, something about the energy and the essence of it is calling me, right? I don't really feel that with a lot of things, right? Called to experience something. And with Costa Rica, I'm definitely being called to experience it. I think I'm being called to experience this retreat because I feel like that's, for me, and the energy of the people that I hang out with, I feel like that's the new community, right? That's the new what's the word I'm looking for? Not ecology. I don't know. It's just the new system, right? Where people are helping each other. People are there to support each other's journeys, right? I think the common thing in retreats is probably non-judgment, right? Like an environment where you feel safe and not judged, right? To do things like ecstatic dance or even yoga. A lot of people don't do yoga because they don't want to do it in front of other people, right? And I think the energy right now is like the encouragement of like, hey, I'm just like you, right? I look just as silly as you doing the downward dog pose, so why not? Let's just do it together.
You bring up such an important point, and I like really underestimate this just because I'm such a warrior for this work. And I literally wrote down what you had said in your opening. Everyone is either looking at themselves or they're not looking at themselves. And I mean, we really are at that time in history right now. And I think depending on where you land as you answer that question, sort of determines the timeline you're on and the experience that you're going to have moving forward in the world. And it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to look at yourself. And, I know that I underestimate this. And like, just even in this moment, I'm really aware that finding more gentle ways, because I have like this giant energy, right? That you've already commented on a little bit. And so I'm like, wake up, wake up. You know what I mean? Like Chicken Little, like, wake up.
Yeah.
And because I'm so passionate about my work and am just so enthusiastic with the magnificence of each one of us and the brilliance of each one of us, that I like can't contain it all in my damn self,
I love that.
But maybe I'm scaring people away.
I don't think so. Speaking of Surrey, there she is. Aloha.
Aloha.
Courtney Lopez. Aloha, Courtney. I don't think so. I think for me, what attracted me to your energy and to your essence was that comfort of who you are, right? And kind of that authenticity of knowing your own energy and knowing your own approach. I understand what you're saying, right? Like it could be too loud and in people's faces, but that's really what a coach is. And I think for me, when I see somebody like you, I feel inspired by that. And I think that's how you kind of became the coach, right? You saw that, oh, people are inspired by my energy. People are inspired by my journey and my story, the things that I've been through, and the way, like I said, I really like to view it like everybody's got this unique connection to source, right? They're this unique aspect of source, and they understand their own kind of purpose their own way, and then they express it in their own way. And for me, I'm in the same place you're at, right? I love this journey of experiencing all of that, right? Meeting people and getting to know what it's about. I will add to that, and I don't want to say, I always try to pick my words. I don't want to say unfortunately, right? But the thing is, the people that are a pleasure to be around and are a pleasure to explore are the people who have found that love within themselves, because that's the reflection that I want to see, right? And when I see somebody who hasn't found that love in themselves, I'm seeing a reflection of myself, but not one that I necessarily want to see, right? And I still need to process that. And I think that's where the compassion and the non-judgment comes from, and the idea of I am you, you know what I mean? Like maybe I seem
and you are me,
and you are me, right? And maybe I seem like happier than you, right? Or I got it more together than you, but that's not the case, right? It's not the case. And interesting what you're saying about how you commented on about what I said about people are looking at themselves or not, and that's kind of where they're going to land, right? I mean, these basic philosophies, and this is what I try to do, is like talk about these things in layman's terms and without the woo woo, right? But the idea of the energy that you put out there is the energy you get back. The idea of where you focus your thoughts is what you're going to experience, right? So the people who are wrapped up in the news and watching the news and experiencing that energy, they're just asking for it. I mean, I hate to say it in that way, but that's what they're
What you put out is what you get back.
right. And you know what? And I'm not judging that either, because some people are comfortable there and that's where they want to be. And I don't feel like they're going to land any place nice, but again, maybe that's where they want to land. You know what I mean?
Well, everyone is on their own soul's journey, and everyone's getting exactly what they need. Those of us who are awakening at this time and leading the movement of awakening that's taking place across the globe, it's just one part of it, right? And I am of the viewpoint that we come for it all. We come for it all. And in that, when you kind of just take a step back and look at the absurdity of what goes on here in this school called Earth, it's pretty damn comical. If we can unwind ourselves from the drama and the trauma of it. And I think, as we clear away the blocks that are in the way of experiencing ourselves as the love that we are, we naturally rise up to that higher place in consciousness. And so then it's, I guess, easier maybe to see it that way. But I always remember even the worst villain, even the worst criminal, even, somebody who we're going to label as a bad person is still the same as you and me, right? They are a spiritual being making their way through this epic human adventure. And their soul is on its trajectory of its learning path, whatever that is for them. And that's just so hard for our ego and our operating system to sort of be okay with that and accept that. And it takes a lot of compassion and acceptance to sit there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you bingo, right on target. It's that's why I love having these conversations, because I feel like you're going to say it a certain way, I'm going to say it a certain way, and those words are going to, they're going to go out, and then the people who are supposed to hear them in the right way are going to hear them. And again, that's what I like, is like kind of like the layman's reality of it all. But I realized just now a couple of things, and that is, one, I haven't done the live stream of consciousness in a couple of weeks. We totally didn't do the preliminary questions of the basis of the show, and I think that's probably going to change a little bit. But it is the live stream of consciousness still. It's evolving. I'm evolving. But what I do love is the basic question that kind of comes, the answer is not wrong, right? And it comes from so many different perspectives because of the guests that I have, that I love asking the question, and that is, what is consciousness? What are we even talking about when we talk about consciousness, when we talk about a being, like all of these things? Let's start with a baseline vocabulary lesson.
All that is.
Okay.
All that is. It's so interesting. Even just thinking about consciousness, in this moment, I'm being shown almost like a movie screen. You know what I mean? Like it's all this fake reality that is unfolding as you, as me, as this pen, as this camera, as this live stream. And we underestimate in every moment the power that we have over the design of the direction that that consciousness is moving in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I love that answer. And I love that we're at a place with quantum physics and science looking into all of these things within, it's funny because in quantum physics and quantum science, we're still looking within the things that we defined, right? But it's almost like we're like saying like, wait, there's things out there that we haven't defined and we're trying to like define them and figure them out. But we're starting to see things like, superposition and the idea of, oh my God, that could be consciousness, right? Everything all at once, everywhere, undetermined.
So can we talk about that?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Did you see it? You saw that movie?
Which one?
Everything All at Once.
Oh yeah, that movie. Oh yeah, I did see that movie. Yes.
So what was your reaction to that? Do you remember?
Yes, I love the concepts, right? Obviously, I went into it saying, "Ooh, this is right up my alley, right? This is going to be great." I thought it was interesting the way they portrayed certain things, like the idea of a rock having consciousness, and things that I think are very difficult for us to understand, right? In this 3D existence that we've been kind of given, right? And the basic set of knowledge and language that we've been given. I think there's so much more outside of that. So I really enjoyed, I'm a fan of movies as well. So I enjoyed that translation of some of the concepts. It was a while ago. I remember probably a lot more. I probably had a lot more of a profound, reaction to it at the time. But
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That's what it was called. And it was like, there was like an Asian family, right? I think I had like a spiritual awakening at the conclusion of that movie, to be honest.
Sure.
I remember like really having this full body sense of oneness, like at the very, very end, where the whole movie was like showing you like all these different scenes really, really fast.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And, there was something about it that really spoke to me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that this is just such a big opportunity, like opening our hearts
Mm-hmm.
to how heartbreaking humanity is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, and then the insanity of it all,
Yeah.
and the insanity of this planet, and the insanity of us as human beings, and like all of it.
Right.
And there was something about the end of that movie that transmitted just this deep compassion for the madness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I definitely I had an experience with that movie.
I could imagine probably a few people did it. Probably, like the idea of, like you're saying, like remembering it jarred something in you that's like, oh, wait a second. Like that makes sense to me somehow. You know what I mean? In my cosmic memory, of experience,
Right.
I mean, and that's what I love about these conversations, and even the idea that I can somehow, it's funny because I can't really define it and I can't say what it all means, right? But I know that when I talk about it, it makes sense to me and I feel it. I feel like there's this cosmic, non-physical aspect of me that exists everywhere all at once, and that the idea of time not existing, that everything happens, everything that will happen, everything that ever happened is all happening now, right? Like, what the fuck does that mean?
What the fuck does that mean?
But I'm at peace with it. I don't know what it means, but I know what it means. If that makes any sense, and I think that's part of like that whole attitude that I see in you, that you exude. Like, life, like, why take any of this seriously, right? Like, we're supposed to be here enjoying each other. I was not a social person. I was not super antisocial, but I didn't love people, right? I didn't love people until I loved myself. And as I grow to love myself more and more, I love people more and more, right? And I love experiencing people more and more. And I love talking to people who are, kind of like, I don't want to say on my level, like you, like we talk the same language, right? And then there are people who maybe are out at work or in a different place that don't talk about the same kinds of things, right? They're not like lower than me or at a different level. I don't even like those judgments of it, right? It's just, they're just different people having different experiences, different energies, traveling through the stream of consciousness.
Well, you just said a very important word, and the word is judgment.
Mhm.
And that's the word that enslaves us, and that's the word that is connected to our suffering, and connected to our struggle and our pain. And in this land of polarity, our ego mind and our framework is constantly trying to make sense of, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, this is
Right.
black, this is white, so that we can feel safe. I don't know, right? Like,
Yeah.
This is a learned behavior in a lot of ways. And through the work that I've done, this has been, the hedge pen that has freed me from so much discontent and struggle and suffering, to walk myself out of the judgment, the polarity, and really resting in the awareness that as consciousness, we get to express in all these different ways, right? And we're all fractals of this big diamond.
I love that.
And, an analogy that I often use with my clients is like, there's 100 people standing in a circle. And in the middle of that circle, there's a 3-dimensional statue. And every single person who's looking at that statue sees something just a little bit different, right? But the truth is, they're all looking at the same thing. And it's like, oh, okay, I can get that you're like on the opposite side of it. And so what you see is completely different than what I see and perceive. And as we can be more okay with that, then that natural essence.
Yeah. Well, I think
there's no resistance in the way.
Yeah. And I think it's not only being okay with, right? Oh, the idea of, okay, that person's seeing something different than I am. But like you said, almost like that natural curiosity, like, ooh, what was it like? What did you see? Tell me what you saw. I want to know, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that, like you said, I'm a fractal, right? And you're a fractal. And it's like, just to be able to say, oh, what's it like being you? What's it like being you? And just exchange that energy, right? Which is kind of what we're doing right now. I saw a great question here, which I think ties into a lot of the stuff we're saying and even brings it back front and center. And it's from Deborah, saying, can a human soul be an archangel simultaneously? And then she follows it up with, or at the very least a guide. And before you answer that, I just want to jump in, which I don't usually do, but this hits home with me, because for me, I know obviously so many people with so many amazing stories and experiences, and a lot of those involve guides and channeling and other entities. I personally have not had an experience where I have identified a guide outside of myself, like as a separate entity. I was told at some point, by certain people, channelers and stuff, that I see that you're your own guide, right? Which I had never heard. But I feel like, so to tie this into other things, the shift of humanity that's happening, right? I feel like it's not how a lot of people describe it, like, oh, you're going to end up in this world, I'm going to end up in this world. I think it's a shift in perception, and that's really what's going to allow you to see certain things. And I talked earlier about how I'm experiencing things energetically, and I feel like that's that's the definition of that, right? I'm experiencing, my perception has changed to where it's not just a physical interaction and a emotional response to it. There's this energetic layer to it that I never felt before, that I'm starting to experience, right? So I feel like I've shifted my perception. So back to the question, of can a human soul be an archangel simultaneously, and then, or at least a very least, a guide? I feel like you said those are all different experiences in the big experience, and we all have access to be any one of those at any point we want. So yes, I think the answer is yes. Like, a human can be an archangel, and a human can also be a guide. And
yes. And Deborah, check out a gal by the name of Alicia Das, who I think actually just published a book about this very topic, and how many of our origin nature comes from the angelic realm, and that we all have a lineage that we are connected to through the great archangels and the angelic realm. And this is not my area. I don't, it's just, I'm not well-versed or fluent in this particular area. But Alicia Das is the expert in this place. So check her out and you'll love her. She's very amazing. Cool. So maybe you'll have her on your show, Michael.
Awesome. I'm gonna type that into a browser here so that I can remember. Alicia Das, like Ram Das, like D-A-S?
D-A-S-S.
D-A-S-S, like kind of like Ram Dass. Okay, cool. I'm gonna look at that later. Yeah, I feel like, and back to kind of, my own experience, and not necessarily experiencing spirit guides the way other people do. Like, I'm okay with that, right? I'm not like, no, but I want to see a spirit guide. Why am I not experiencing that way? And I think that that's kind of, again, what we're discussing here, is that it's going to be different for everybody, and for me, it's my relationship with the idea that I am a fractal of some bigger thing, and that it's all connected, right? So for me, I don't think it's going to show up as something external, because it's all part of the same thing. And my understanding of that just kind of, that's where my ego, or whatever it is that my human need to put it into place, understands it. And I think other people, there's like religious reasons and things that people see archangels, because maybe it was presented to them a certain way growing up, that this is the the protector, and this is the guardian of finding lost things, right? Isn't there an angel of finding lost things? I don't but again, I feel like it's all the same. It's all the same thing. It all comes from source.
Yes, and my interpretation of it is a little bit like music, if you will, right? Like, we've got high notes and we've got low notes, and we've got everything in between. And in the land of energy and frequency, there are different energies and different frequencies. And it's almost like being on a different floor in a building. You know, you can be on the low floor or you can be on the high floor. And whatever's happening on the high floor, the people on the lower floor, like, they don't know anything about that because they're having their own experience at a different vibrational frequency.
Right.
And like, I'm not clairvoyant. I don't see, you know, I say, watch, I'll say that today. And then tomorrow there'll be a great archangel standing in my bedroom. And I'm not kidding. Because that's how quickly things are moving, right? And what we're doing in this ascension of consciousness is that we are equipping our vehicle, right? And all levels of our consciousness, mentally, emotionally, physically, and energetically. We are learning how to navigate these higher floors. And because the earth is moving at a faster pace, we're all keeping up with her. And this is like my layman's terms of being able to explain something that my mind has no idea or understanding of, but that the stream of consciousness comes through me.
Sure.
And so on this different floor, we have these different experiences. And, you know, we throw around this term like the veil is thin.
Right.
And I'm a massive empath. I have the ability to feel everything that you're feeling, particularly when I'm tuned into you or that. And that's part of my gift and understanding. And I don't even know that I can really explain or articulate how I navigate the energy that I am sensitive to or sensing into.
Right.
And there's a very specific interpretation in the emotional realm that I can name and know sort of what's happening. Because if I'm working with someone and they're experiencing an emotion within themselves, I can immediately be with that and understand exactly what that is. Or if we're getting close to something tender that needs more gentleness and more quiet and more holding so that we can uncover whatever that is. I've never said this before to anybody. So your show's doing its job.
Awesome. I'm pulling it out of you. No, that's and I feel that way too. Sometimes like I was on Jennifer Rose's show and she asked me a question or two and I'm answering the question and then I'm done and I'm just like, did I just say all that? Like what the hell is coming at? But I think that's a part of where we're at right now with our perceptions and our awareness and being able to communicate with each other like that. You know, I think it's only going to be like exponentially get quicker towards like telepathy and those kinds of things, you know what I mean? Because I feel like that's it. So let's go back to this idea of this shift, right? That's happening. Because for me, what I see and I watch a lot of content and I try to like see all different views of the opinions about it, right? But for me, I think the underlying thing is, as a race of humans, the fundamental understanding of our place in the universe is not accurate. You know what I mean? That we've kind of been sheltered from the power that we have as energetic beings. We've been sheltered from the idea, that we're energetic beings. You know, we've been kind of taught that we're physical beings and that existence is a physical thing. You know what I mean? And I think that is the perspective shift that I'm talking about, is the idea that, oh, wait a second, it's not just a physical thing. There's more to it. And that goes this way, right? Like exponentially, because now we're talking about energies of ourselves and loved ones that have passed as far as spirits. We're talking about alien races, Pleiadians and Arcturians, and we're talking about energies, you know, that we just have not really been taught about. And I think that as much as people are starting to talk about it and be aware of it, I still think the scope of what it all means has not hit at all. Like,
Agreed.
right.
Agreed. We're not even scratching the surface.
Right. And what I've just kept saying, like just channeled, like it's just been coming out of me, is like life is going to look nothing like we recognize. Like existence right now is not going to look anything like we recognize, you know. And that doesn't mean, hey, we're never going to do this a live stream kind of thing again. It just means like now you and I will have the awareness of other entities that are around us and other systems that exist in the cosmos. Ooh, did I say that? Yeah. But I think that's where we're heading, and I'm effing excited. And I think, like, you know, humanity has never seen anything, you know, like this as far as like awareness goes. Or, you know what, I'm going to take that back. And I love watching you talk because you're always processing your own words, right? I think it is a cycle, right? I think there's an ancient element to what we're experiencing as far as like cyclical energetic things.
Yes.
But anyway, I've been babbling. I want to know a little bit more about you, right? One of the questions that I always ask my guests, and it usually comes right after the what is consciousness question, and maybe this will tell us a little bit more about who you are and how you've come to these conclusions, is, do you have a story, a moment, a memory of, wait a second, there is more to life than this 3D existence that I've been handed and told what is?
We don't have enough time for that.
All right.
I mean, and that is the God's honest. I mean, I can tell you so many stories. You know, my first spiritual experience, I was like 6 years old in the backyard, and there was like a stream that appeared. I grew up in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, again, I don't see things, but I sense in a
Mm-hmm.
very profound way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. What I want to say right now is I was with an angel. I was with God. I was with Source. I was with
Mm-hmm.
some benevolent being that was with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a terrible memory, right? And especially I think from sort of like hanging out in the ethers and the work that I do and trying to get my local logical self out of the way so that I can just be a clear channel. And so I don't have a great memory, and I don't remember a lot of things, but I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like a very significant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up in a middle-class family and, you know, did all the things you were supposed to do.
Right.
And I went to college and got a degree in hotel restaurant management, climbed the corporate ladder to the
Mm-hmm.
tippity top,
Mm-hmm.
and got up there and looked around and said, all this isn't all that. And I was in a deep soul crisis because I have come to this life to do something completely different, right? And this was a decade ago that
Wow.
Well, even more than that. I was 44 and now I'm 57. So I don't know, do the math. But at 44, it was very significant because that's how old my father was when he died.
Mm-hmm.
I was a young girl, 22. And so suddenly I was in this big rush, like, what am I doing here? What is my life about? It can't be about this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even though I had it all. I was very successful in every category, married to an amazing guy, living in Southern California, making a lot of money, all the friends, all the notoriety and the prestige and all of it.
Yeah.
But my light was going out. I was dying, a slow death inside of myself. And so on the advice of a psychic, I enrolled myself in a master's program in spiritual psychology. And what started out as a 2-year program for me turned into a 5-year program. And I didn't set out to be a coach. And I certainly didn't set out to be a spiritual coach. And it's been a big reveal of my truth and my essence and my power and who I really am, and the letting go of the framework of my ego and my personality. It's been long and slow and painful and difficult. And I don't know that I'm on the other side of it. I don't think that we're ever on the other side of it. I believe that evolution happens in the form of a spiral, sacred spiral, right?
Yeah.
We go around the spiral, and every time we make a lap, we go up a little and out a little and up a little and out a little. And this is the nature of the universe and the nature of expansion. And our soul, which is the bigger part of us, is always nudging us to expand and explore. And in order for that to happen, we must walk ourselves into the places of the unknown and the places that feel scary. But we all have this inner compass that we get to follow. And I've always had this compass. I think I was asleep to the compass for a long, long time, just by the nature of my conditioning and programming and buying into what I thought I was supposed to be according to the world and society and my parents and the government and religion and all the things. And so it was a slow realization for me to keep letting go and letting go. And even now, I have been doing this work now for nearly a decade. And I'm in another evolution of really letting go even more of the corporate world, the material world. I mean, I live in the jungle, and how I got here is a whole other story, because I did not sign up to come here. I was put here, and the universe put me here.
Right.
And this was all also part of the physical piece of my continued transformation. And I just keep having more and more understanding and clarity around like the puzzle piece that I, fit into the whole, as we were briefly talking about before we came on. And what I'm aware of is my soul has the ability to communicate with your soul. And so in an exchange, I'm mirroring and reflecting and calling out things that you need to hear and are ready to explore. And so this is a little bit about the exchange of what happens with my work. And I've recently gotten just wild about the gene keys. And do you know the gene keys?
Tell me about the gene keys. Maybe you might say it, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that." I maybe from I listen. I watch a lot of stuff. I really am fascinated by all of the elements of being, you know what I mean, and all of the different aspects of it. So just remind me or tell the audience what is
Yeah,
it?
well, very briefly, I mean, anybody, you can just go to genekeys.com and learn all about it. But it is a marriage of
Excuse me.
several different systems. And the gentleman who was the receiver of this transmission, Richard Rudd, had an experience of, and these are my words, like being plugged into the mothership. And he received this download over the course of 3 days, which led him on a journey where it took him 7 years to write a book and develop this system that we know as the Gene Keys. And it marries astrology, human design, and the I Ching, which is a 5,000-year-old Chinese oracle, where the Zen masters were trying to codify the universe. And they were trying to understand all of the patterns of the universe. And they codified it by creating hexagrams. And these hexagrams, there's 64 of them that go across a wheel. Wow. This is a little bit of a rabbit hole that we don't want to like go too far down the rabbit hole. You can go to genekeys.com and you can learn all about it.
Oh, I love it.
The reason I love it, Michael, and the reason that I am so enthralled with it and engaged with it is because it is a snapshot of what my soul came here to learn about in this life.
Awesome.
And so interpreting it and understanding it is a process of contemplation.
Yeah.
Because each one of us has to understand our own journey and the journey that we make.
Yeah.
And I have just found, and I'm a little bit of a junkie, like on all the things, I love it all. If I turned my camera around, you'd see my bookcase and there's, a bazillion books because I just, I love it all. And I've been studying and reading since a very young age. But the Gene Keys give us a lens to look through that can show us not only the archetypal patterns that we're working with and our shadow aspects that we're working with, that our soul has signed up to work with, but it also reflects our most magnificent divine soul gifts. And I think in a way, it's like an incentive to keep going. It's an incentive to wake up, because when we can realize the magnificence of our own essence and the derivatives that essence is going to send out into the universe and into our own lives, into our relationships, into everything around us, that is a way that each one of us can make the world a better place. Yeah. Because, the whole is comprised of the sum of its parts.
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, I feel like it's just these little realizations that do mean a lot, right? Because it's like, I know for me, like, I'm very aware as much as I can be. I'm only human, but I'm very aware of my energy and how I interact with people and what I'm putting out into the world, because I'm aware of how that comes back, when I do it, and I know how it feels, and I know what I like, and I know what I don't like. So, that's a lot of power in navigating day to day like that, rather than feeling like, oh my God, I've got to go to work, my boss is doing this, or this person's doing this, or letting all of these external energies kind of dictate your experience, instead of understanding the power you have to dictate your experience.
And I love that you said the word navigating, because I think, like, if I just sum up in a sentence really what I help people do, is I help them navigate physical reality through the lens of their spiritual beingness.
Right. And it's interesting that I met Suri recently, and she's in Costa Rica, and I met you, and you're in Costa Rica, but there's such a similarity in, I think, my experience with both of you, and it's exactly that. It's talking to you. You're responding to me and saying things, and I'm like, oh, wait a second. Oh, you're making me think about myself. You're giving me a reflection, and I'm imagining it depends on who you're talking to, right? But I feel like I'm in a cool place where I'm receiving those reflections, and I'm just like, it's just, we're flowing, right? But it's interesting to me what you said about spiritual psychology, right? Because I never even thought that was a thing, but I always saw the similarity between spiritual practices and psychology, right? Like just the idea of healing, right? And going into traumas that are when you're a kid, like that sounds like therapy, and I think there's so much. I think it's all energy, right? I think it's all based on energy. So, however you're going to approach it, I think, everybody's going to find a different solution to, working through that energy. But I think the masters work through that energy with like the simplest things like Tai Chi, you know what I mean? Like they wake up, they do some Tai Chi, they work their energy through, and it's like everything else is a breeze, after that. So.
Well, I don't know if it's a breeze. I think no matter how conscious we become, no matter how enlightened we think we are still human.
Yes.
And we are in these bodies, and we all share the opportunities that exist when you get to be in these bodies and you get to be on this planet.
Totally.
And yeah.
Well, you're actually bringing up a good point that I actually wrote down earlier to bring up the way that this all ties together, right? So we're about to tie this all together.
Imagine that.
Right?
Imagine that.
You were talking about, and I've heard this, and people I'm sure who are watching this have heard these different perspectives, right? We're talking about this shift, and we're talking about perspectives, and we're talking about all of this. You were talking about the Earth School, right? Mm. And Earth is a school. We're here to learn all these lessons, and it's hard, and it's not going to be easy, right? That's one perspective, one perception of Earth. I heard a story, I think it was even today or yesterday, and it was about this monk, and it was about an angel, or it was about God, and somebody died, right? And they're like, okay, I want to get into heaven. And he's like, wait a second, I gave you this planet with beautiful lakes and plants and animals and all of these wonderful things, and now you want heaven? That was heaven. So there's this other perception of Earth as heaven, not as a school. And I think it can be the same person that goes through a transformation from perceiving it like a school to, oh my God, what the hell was I thinking? Why was I struggling so much, right? Like, I just need to go connect with nature. I just need to really take a deep breath and kind of separate myself from all these things that I've been told matter. Mm. I guess that's the way to say it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that we're all here on the hero's journey, and that is available to everyone. Mm-hmm. It is available to everyone. Mm-hmm. And we all get to make that choice. We all choose the perceptions that we want to hold.
Yeah.
And it's in those perceptions that we do look out and see heaven or hell. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of the school, is that we learn our powers of creation. and we learn about how to use that power and how that power works through us and how it works through everybody else.
I love it. So well put. And, again, I think that's why, we're able to, like, yeah, we're human, right? It's not always easy, but I feel like you and I and Suri and kind of, people who've made the choice that they want to walk through life like this and not like, oh my God, what's happening? I can't, it's a choice. And so my question for you to wrap this up is there any little piece of advice or trick to someone who might say to you, what do you mean it's a choice? When I feel depressed, I don't have a choice. What would you say to somebody who believes that they don't have a choice?
I don't know that I can give it to you in a snippet. Truly, like it's not a thing off the shelf. Right? Like when someone really is in that place of despair, a lot of other things have to be seen and held, and bringing in compassion and understanding for where that person is today and now is the beginning of having them open to another possibility. Like being truly seen, truly heard, truly understood. So I can't and I don't want to like give a black and white answer to that because I don't know that.
Understood. I mean, I wasn't, I just felt like, I guess I was like,
I'd say get into my office and we'll talk, book a complimentary discovery call on my calendar and
Donna Bond,
we'll have an
right below,
exploration.
right there, Donna Bond going across the bottom of the screen. You can talk to Donna. I mean, I hear you loud and clear. I like the simple things, but you can't tell somebody who's depressed, like, just breathe. Just connect with your breath. You know what I mean? And I mean, we both know that would work if they did it and if they could hear it, but they're not in the place to hear it. Yeah, they're not in the place to hear it, and that makes sense. There's no store-bought thing. It's a lot of inner work. It's a lot of kind of understanding. You said the words. It's a lot of compassion. You know what I mean? You need to really be able to back out and go deep within at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and breathe.
And breathe. And always breathe. Donna, you're awesome to talk to. I love your energy. I would definitely recommend, and you held it down. You were not the big energy that you have on your show, which I love. It doesn't scare me. I could see maybe if I'm like not in the mood, I'd be like, I'm not in the mood for Donna today. You know what I mean? But the energy is authentic. The passion, the gusto for life, and for truly knowing that people who are suffering don't necessarily need to, and you can help them. You know what I mean? Just by being you, just by offering your presence and offering your energy. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. That show is an act of love, an act of service, just as the show that you're doing here. And my ego and personality can get all worked up about what are we doing and what are we going to talk about and how are we going to make this valuable? And, we want to make it worth people's time. And I can get my panties in a twist about all of that. And it doesn't even matter how prepared I am or I think I am. There is a bigger energy that is working through me. And that energy hasn't failed me, right? Like it shows up and it moves through. And there's not a lot I can do to really tone it down.
Right. Oh, and you know what? I just realized we have the name of the show is Spiritual Ambition, right? Spiritual
Ambition.
Spiritual Ambition.
And the definition of spiritual ambition is humanity's inner quest to experience its divine nature.
Yeah.
And it's really speaking to this inner propeller that we have, this inner compass, this inner knower that, you know, somebody I saw, I think it was Courtney, said, you're following your soul's purpose.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? It's your soul's purpose.
Yeah.
And that spiritual ambition. And for me, it's like a little bit of a tongue in cheek because my soul's purpose is all about the spiritual.
Yeah.
So
Totally. And I love stories like yours where somebody has kind of gone through the corporate route and achieved lots of success, what people would think success, and felt like, I don't feel successful. This doesn't feel like what I feel like achieving, you know, a certain level of being is supposed to be, right? It's more based in physical, and, you know, it's not really based in spiritual. So
yeah, well, I like to think that what I'm offering is really based in both. And that's really what it's all about. It's really building this relationship that we have to our invisible, energetic, wisdom-filled parts,
yeah.
and inviting those parts of ourselves into all of the different areas of our day-to-day, mundane, ordinary lives.
Yes.
And how those can be enriched with so much more joy and purpose and meaning and aliveness when we include all of us.
Yeah.
You know, all of us meaning our whole person, our whole
Yeah. Oh,
energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know for me, part of my moment right now, I'm talking about, you know, feeling things differently, is this kind of, I've really broken down a lot of my belief systems. You know, oh my God, I don't even love saying the word struggle out loud. You know, I feel like I dealt with, no, I navigated is also not the right word. Man, oh man, I can't find the word. But I worked through my belief systems about money, right? And that's what allowed me to even go to Costa Rica, right? The idea, like, wait a second, why would I not do that? You know, why would I hold myself back because I think that I don't have the money for it? I don't need the money for it. I need the energy. I need the intention. That's what I need, and that's what it became. And the money came, you know, because the intention was there.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah. So and that's where I'm at. It's a good place to be, you know. And like you said, you know, there's no destination. There's no like, okay, I finally have arrived. You know, once you do achieve a certain kind of level, right now that I'm experiencing everything energetically, like you said, tomorrow, all of a sudden I may be a psychic medium now. All of a sudden I may get a visit.
Right. Or I might have an archangel in my bedroom. I mean, we never know. Exactly. We don't know.
Right. An Arcturian. All of a sudden I'm going to be channeling Arcturians. Who the hell knows? And I'm open for it all. You know, whatever happens, it's an adventure.
Can I let your listeners know, on Tuesday of next week, July 7th, I'm launching a 3-part workshop called Decode Your Divine Purpose. And you can go to decodeyourdivinepurpose.com. And this is going to be an understanding of our sacred soul plan, which is our spiritual curriculum, and how moving through that spiritual curriculum is the key to unlocking our highest potential.
Yeah.
And so it's all connected, right? We can't get to all of it without going through our life. And I'm going to reveal some ahas throughout the course of that.
Awesome. That sounds amazing. Awesome.
Yeah.
And yes, you can tell my listeners about it, by the way.
Thank you.
You didn't wait for the answer. You just told them. You just said, can I tell them? I'm going to tell them. But that's what I'm here for. I think everybody, you know, again, the biggest thrill I get is when somebody says, "Ooh, I saw this person on your show and I reached out to them and I made this connection." I love connecting people, and it's not even connecting people. It's like allowing people to remember that they already are connected, right? Like the first thing I said to you,
Mm.
like, I feel like I know you, you know what I mean? And we know each other cosmically because we are each other. So,
Yes.
so there you
Yes.
go. Thanks so much,
Well,
Donna.
thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to have you on Spiritual Ambition in the future.
Awesome.
And yeah, this has been just a lovely conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, folks. Well, I am going to be away for a week, so no holding space next week. No live stream of consciousness. I do have some really amazing guests. Kelly has been filling me up. Jennifer Lee, Miguel Gonzalez, Cheryl Murphy, Paranormal Pete. I'm excited for all the conversations I've got going in July and August on holding space and the Sacred Spiral Network. And that's it, guys. I will see you next week. Be safe, love each other, and all that.
Thank you, everyone.
And we'll see you next week. Oh no, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Sorry. Bye.
This is the theme song for the live stream of consciousness. You gotta ask yourself whether reality is a dream or you are dream reality. We're all a part of